Hey everybody, hope you guys doing alright. So, I heard Vivek talking earlier today, and according to his information, 13 million people have migrated here into this country since Joe Biden took office. When I researched, I didn't go too, intensely into the research, but I found a site that said at least 6.3 million people have crossed since Joe Biden took office. So millions of people are here. And I think it feels like I don't know the exact number, but it feels like a lot of them are here without going through the proper documentation process to become U.S. citizens. So you don't know why they're here. And I mean that whole process. I don't know how in depth they go into, but there really should be psychological tests being done to see where people are at mentally. Because I mean, but anyways, beyond all that, we don't know why they're here, but we know that these things happened right when a certain individual took office. We also know that individual one of the first things he did, if I'm not mistaken, was halt production on the wall and sell materials being used to build the wall. So his motive right there is to take down that which is protecting our borders, and he did that. And then in conjunction, we have this influx of millions of people into our country, plus a third of Americans, excuse me, thinking that the last election was fraudulent. Okay, and then you're looking at the sickness, inflation, prices, the drug epidemic that's here in Portland and other places. Like, there's just a numerous amounts of. It's a pattern. Let's just be real. It's a fucking pattern here. And the thing that's very significant about this is that I didn't realize it was that. Like, that's a lot of people, millions of people, literally here. So we have to thinking from like a strategy warfare. Like, if this is literally an enemy infiltration, that number in itself is a serious threat, because our National Guard doesn't even have, it has just under 500,000 people, and our regular military I think has a couple of million. I'm not sure exactly, but the thing about this is too, this is also why I think that war over in the Middle East is also being used to pull our troops away from American soil, making us more vulnerable to enemy foreign invasion. Okay, and then we also have literally people here in our country now, already here, not to mention all the forces that could be around the world ready to invade when the time is right. You got to think theoretically. Like, if this really is an enemy invasion, you got to start thinking, like, how would they think? How would they plan this out? They're not going to tell you. I mean, that's not what the enemy does. They don't tell you what the fuck their plan is. You got to figure this shit out on your own. That's why information is key in the battlefield. So if this is what is happening, and my intuition is telling me that it is, and it's like, I didn't realize there was that many people, because that many people means that even if Trump gets elected, he's still like even our National Guard, like, they only train very little. They're not like regular military. They do not have the same skills and training experience and know-how as regular military does. And even if they did, the number still doesn't quite equate to enough. Like, even if the police and all that came together, we'd still be, especially with, if they, which they're going to do, if you're going to invade a country, you have people in here, sleeper cells in here in the country, and then you have a massive force outside of the country ready to go in when the time is right, which that little force is probably going to be used to disrupt our infrastructure. Excuse me. So, with all this being said and done, now more than ever is the time to get an independent militia organized, developed, and trained and equipped in an independent supply chain as well. Everything I've been working on, essentially. Now is the time. But I realize that all of the little dots and T's and all these type of things are not done with the project, so it's not quite ready to be done yet. And me myself am still dealing with some of my own things. I'm in a much better place, but there's still things I need to do to get myself in that type of position to be able to help out in the best way that I can. But it just, I didn't, the timing, like, I didn't realize how dire it was. But that many people with this election coming up, and even if Trump does get office, he still is going to be outnumbered. Like, it's a numbers game. So if we don't have, and there's still so many strings that are being tied with all the different senators and military leaders, there's so many ways that this cabal with trillions, if not quadrillion dollars, can pull strings in so many fucking ways. Not to mention all the corporations they own. They can shut them down and do whatever the fuck they want to them, and fucking just create more chaos and riots. And then you have millions of people here as sleeper cells potentially, and then you have all the other foreign enemies around that who knows what they're planning on doing. So again, now more than ever is a time to develop an own individual fucking militia, and in doing so, we can offer rehabilitation services. We can redo and rejuvenate the economy in a good way. Again, with all this happening, if there is help from above, but we have to choose. We have to learn from our ways. Like, a lot of what is happening here in America is because we've done a lot of foul shit elsewhere. So we do need to take accountability for the things that we've done to hurt and destroy things on this planet, because we're one of the biggest, if not the biggest, consumers, and we consume a lot of toxic stuff that has killed off life forms.